Welcome back to What Would You Ask podcast. My next guest, I'm a fan of. He hung tough in the tank. Got, he got the torrential blowback from the Cubans and others in the tank, and stood his ground. And at the end, they were like, this guy's a pretty good guy. He handled himself pretty well. Season 3, episode 6, Esso watches. Remember those watches, right? And I'm going to have Ryan tell you all about them because I'll attach it up what they are and what he brought into the tank. So I'm going to let him go over that with you, and we can discuss it from there. Ryan Naylor, welcome to What Would You Ask podcast. I'm glad you're here.
It's great to be here. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Tell us what you brought into the tank with the watches, and you can morph that into, because he jumped right on it. You might as well jump right on it. Mark was dismissive right away after hearing the effect that these watches potentially can have. And I thought you articulated it very well. You were making no promises or assertions. There was just, this is what's out there. And I thought it was very well done. But kind of explain to us what happened there initially.
Yeah, I'll give you kind of a Reader's Digest backstory here as well. So recently graduated from college, married. My wife and I have a baby on the way, and we decide to go to Europe and backpack around for a while. And we're in Italy, and we come across these really bright colored bracelets. And we come to find out they're actually these watches. They're just a silicone kind of stretchy material that doesn't have a clasp, but you can just stretch it over your hand, and it fits on like a bracelet snug. But super lightweight. You could sweat on it, walk in the rain, whatever it is. You're not going to be worried about a cheap little silicone watch, but it's kind of fun, bright and colorful. And we loved the concept so much, we started blogging about it. And we took some pictures from Italy. And before you know it, we were getting traffic to this blog, and we were getting some visibility. And so when we got back into the States, I found myself talking more and more about the product and finding that people in the US were looking for that version of product to buy. And so I sourced a similar product, but different, from a factory over in China that was selling kind of this open sourced silicone watch. And we started like, I'll order 1,000 of those. And, they come in, pennies a piece kind of a thing. And gosh, we sold 1,000 watches, like, I think within a week. It was mind blowing. It stressed us out because now we had to figure out how to ship them all, right? And for my day job, I've always been in marketing. I'm an expert in search engine optimization, so how we get websites ranking really well. And so it became natural for me just to sit on my couch, watch Sports Center, and punch away at the keyboard, make a website, and make it rank in the top of Google search results. And, before you know it, we were 12,000 watches had been purchased through our website in about 6 months. I mean, it's just, things were flying off the shelves. We weren't making a ton of profit. We started playing with our pricing a little bit, and we're like, wow, this is turning into more than just kind of an evening, sitting on the couch here. And this is where it bothers me. I don't ever remember applying to Shark Tank. I don't know if a friend did it for me. I don't know if my wife did it, but regardless, I got a phone call and a nice young lady saying, Ryan, would you like to come be on Shark Tank, or at least continue the application? I'm like, this is a prank. I don't even believe it. And it turned out to be true, and kind of went in. Now the secret behind, let me go a little bit into your kind of the Mark Cuban thing. I'll get a little deeper into that. The watch at the time, there was an ability to add an extra chemical layer. So you look at your periodic table of elements, and anion is next to silicone, and it's a negative chemical. And what it would do, a lot of people out there were wearing like phyton necklaces. You saw the pitchers in Major League Baseball wearing them, helping with their balance and their blood flow. And if you remember the power balance bands that a lot of NBA players were wearing, same technology, same idea. And the factory was like, hey, you could add it into the silicone when we melt the silicone beads and make it into the mold of your watch. You add it in and you can kind of promote that ability. So I said, sure, let's do it. And it just exploded. Even more people were excited about the product. So it was nothing new. I didn't, invent the wheel here. I was just kind of I was piggybacking on kind of this trend. Well, going into Shark Tank, they cared little, as I found out. They cared little about the product, and they cared more about this health benefits, negative ion thing. And you knew that all the way through. The producers, the people you would work with, practicing your pitch and everything else, man, they would just jam that down your throat. Make sure you promote the negative ion. Make sure you promote this healthy. Like they're really trying to make me look like this nut. And I was like, I personally didn't really believe a whole lot about it, but I had seen it working for some people that had dizziness issues, balance issues. They loved my product and they kept buying it, and it showed that it worked. So I was a little taken back, but not taken back in the same sense, because I felt like I was kind of set up for that. I was pushed into it. But here's the ultimate moment. I'm standing outside the double doors. Now just imagine watching the show, the double doors open, the entrepreneurs walking down the carpet. You got the screens with the sharks on the side, right? We've all seen that moment. Right before the double doors are opening, here comes Clay, one of the executive producers, patting me on the shoulder. Ryan, you're going to be great. Well, he had just bought 6 watches from me the day before for his kids because he loved them so much in the practice and dress rehearsal pitch practice. Like, he was such a fan. And as he's patting on me, the set producer's yelling, "We're live in 10 seconds. And he's sitting there going, "And by the way, I know you're planning on doing a balance test with Lori. Don't do it with Lori." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And they're like, 3, 2. And he's changing my pitch process like as the doors are opening.
Oh my God.
And I'm looking at him and he's like, "You'll be great," doing that fake little thumbs up smile. And he's walking to the side. So my eyes are like, what just happened? I feel like I'm getting set up here. So when I walk out into the carpet, the famous rug, and you find your mark, and you're sitting there, and they're calibrating the cameras, and they're doing the, sweating you out a little bit. I just kept smiling and thinking to myself, I know who I am, but they obviously don't know who they are, because they feel like they've got to set me up. They feel like they got to do a little trickery right before the camera's open. So so when Cuban's going at it, 18 seconds into the pitch, I mean, I actually didn't care. As terrible as that sounds, it was so frustrating to hear like they were trying to set me up right from the get-go.
I have to tell you, it seemed like, I know that, and everybody has confirmed this, that these people these sharks don't know who Ryan is, who your product is until you come out. Right. I mean, they just don't. And they see it. Obviously, if it's set up, it's not, sometimes they do the big reveal and pull the thing over. But in a lot of cases, there it is. And they get to see it. So they can then start, putting some ideas together as to what is going to be presented to them. But man, that one, the way he just, I don't know if he goes out so early on so many different things, I forget. But it was just, you're right. It was like, 20 seconds in and he is on you, and that's the, and then somebody mentioned later on, I don't know if it was you or one of the sharks, but there are basketball players that wear those types of things too. Many athletes, they're baseball players do it, football, basketball. A lot of players are wearing that type of, especially for balance and stuff. I know pitchers wear that thing around the neck and all of that stuff. So it's kind of a little bit, and who knows, who peed in his Cheerios that morning, right? We don't know what happened to him, but it just felt a little bit too much of an attack. How long did that go on, Ryan? We see, edited version 7-8 minutes of the show. You're in there for what, 45 minutes to an hour? So what did we miss out of that confrontation?
Not a whole lot. I mean, that's what was frustrating. They cut so much of the pitch, but they only focused on the negativity. And here's kind of what I realized as well is you have to understand something important going into season 3. ABC cut Shark Tank. That was not scheduled for their lineup for that fall and winter season. And they had some disputes with other programming at the time. So season 3 was really your make and break season, because they were on the fence. They'd already been verbally cut. And the junior producers are telling me, like, we've got a lot of pressure on our backs because we got to make this great for TV. And so knowing that a little bit of a backstory going into the pitch, and then getting the gotcha moment, and then starting it off with them saying, Ryan, you've got 3 minutes uninterrupted. Deliver the best pitch that you can. I promise you they're going to love it. And then you're 18 seconds in and he goes, I'm out. And I'm like, okay, all right, I get it. Here we are. So that's why I can't say that I was overly disappointed in the moment.
First of all, season 3 ended up, in my opinion, one of the best seasons there is, by the way. If you look at from start to finish of the season, we've interviewed tons of season 3 people, and it's just like, boom, one after the other is great products, great shows, top, replays on CNBC. It was just a great season. So let's get a couple questions in from our viewers and listeners. April from Hartford, Connecticut wanted to know, were there key points of your presentation that you felt the Sharks needed to understand? I guess that's pretty much, but you're right. Did you talk more about the watches than the negative ion kind of discussion as well that we missed as a part of the presentation?
Yeah, I did. I tried to focus on version 1 was this health benefits thing, but it proved the proof of concept of the design, this fashion movement of going to this little bit of a cheap, bright, colorful watch. Years later, Apple Watch comes out and they're showcasing bright colored silicone band watches. Obviously I didn't have an Apple Watch, but you get the point is it was more from a fashion standpoint. And so I was trying to go from here's my beta version to here's my forecast and future 3-5 year outlook. And I couldn't really get there because they were so hung up on one thing. And that was good for TV. That was the negative ions, the health elements. But yeah, I wanted to get to, and you'll see in the backdrop and the designs that they cut out, but I talked thoroughly about, I'm a little bit of a designer. I put the designs together. I hired another graphic artist. We digitally illustrated those watches that you would see on those boards. And they were 100% original artwork to my computer. Like my computer had that original artwork. So it's a little frustrating when they're calling you a liar and you're just like, okay.
So you
there's
ended
nothing
up,
I'm going to do here.
You ended up still taking Lori out to do your thing. You must have figured, I don't know what he's talking about, but I'm going the way we went, right? I thought, and that worked out great. Here's someone.
Except for that was the hang up. That's actually what they cut out of the tape. What you didn't know is when I was walking down out of the double doors, I'm told to work with Kevin. So I actually ask if there's a volunteer, and Kevin raises his hand. He comes out and does it, but he refuses to cooperate. He keeps throwing his arm down, and you won't do the balance test with me. And he keeps laughing and mocking me openly. And so I stopped and I looked right at him and I said, are we going to do this? Because if you're not willing to cooperate, I have nothing to talk about. And he went and sat down. And that's when Lori said, oh, I'll do it. And of course, that's the part that they cut into. So she ultimately did come out and do the balance test and had a lot of great things to say. Listen, Lori was phenomenal. She was just a
you couldn't ask for a better person to do it.
Warmest heart. And she wanted to understand me, and she really wanted to understand the product. And I was so genuinely grateful for that.
That's awesome. Because I thought after what you went through, if she went up there and went, I don't feel anything, and she tipped and all that stuff, it would have been difficult. But again, I'm not saying that she's doing any working with you on it. I'm just saying it really worked out because you proved that without the watch on, her balance was awful. And she even said it, I think somewhere she said, oh, I'm not good balance anyway. And then all of a sudden she was surprised. You could see it on her face that she was surprised as she went through it. So let's talk about what you did have and what we knew. You did have over $120,000 in sales. I think 70K or some close to it was profit you mentioned on the show. Mm-hmm. And you did it for, relatively small investment. You were looking for retail distribution, and actually you needed more money for more product. Those are things that are kind of, buying signs usually for the Sharks. Were they not, they were kept circling back to the other stuff? They weren't listening. Those numbers aren't bad is my point, Ryan.
Yeah. They were just hung up on the health concern. What they didn't show you in the live episode is, I really wanted to focus on the vision of the company and establishing a brand that had more than just the health benefits. But ultimately, I think that's what they wanted to hang up on. I was willing to kind of say, let's let bygones be bygones and focus on this new iteration, the proof of concept of the design. They didn't really want to go there. What was interesting is I actually pulled out of my pocket a patch, and let's call it 3/4 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch, little silicone patch with a sticky adhesive side. And I explained to them that if they were so interested in the health benefits, I was able to now take this little patch that it was embedded with anion and the silicone focus that had the negative ion, and we could attach it to the back of an existing watch. So if you've got your existing Rolex or your other nice Tissot watch, whatever it is, you could add it there and you could still get the benefits of the health benefits if that was the focus they wanted to go. And guess who showed up? Mr. Kevin O'Leary pops up and says, "Oh, I want to try that." And he put it on his $10,000 Rolex or whatever it is and did the balance test with me. And it was phenomenal. It worked great. He was actually willing to cooperate.
That's so interesting. That
did not make the cut.
Jeez. So tell us about the Shark Tank effect. You walk out of there, obviously, no deal. I didn't like Kevin saying, and I'm a fan of Kevin's, by the way. I didn't like the fact that he said, I'll invest if you admit that I thought that was too much. It was over the top. It was time to let you off the hook. And then I know it
wasn't sincere. And I saw right through it. There was no win.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what? This isn't sincere. There's no win in any environment here.
I'm glad you didn't, and I'm glad you saw through that. Tell us what happened when the airing of the show came. Did you feel that same Shark Tank effect? Did you give us a little bit of background on that?
It's funny. Just being an entrepreneur myself, I just grinding, working hard. It was a Friday night, and I didn't know what to expect with the airing. I really didn't know because I was out there so long. I had some great moments. Mm-hmm. I had some terrible moments. And of course I knew they were going to make it into, good TV, but I actually had got a call from Clay the day before. And he said, "Ryan, this is not, this episode particularly does not put you in the greatest light." And I wanted to tell you that because he just bought product from me. You know what I mean? He just given me cash. He loved my product. And he goes, "You were a great guy. And I don't do this for everyone. But I just wanted to say, I wish you the best. Enjoy it. But I just want to give you a little bit of a heads up."
Oh, geez.
I actually just
appreciated
from human nature. I appreciated the fact he'd acknowledge it. Like, great. We agree to disagree here on what you should be airing, but whatever. It's your show, not mine. Your money's up, it's your collateral. So I didn't tell my wife that. Well, I didn't want to have anyone else around. I knew going into it was going to be a little ugly. Well, I'm pulling in from work. Guess what is circling the neighborhood? A line of cars waiting to do a surprise party and watch it all together.
Oh my God.
And anyway, so it was a little bit uncomfortable. It's kind of in the hot seat. People you didn't even know were your friends are showing up saying they're your best friend to watch it with you. And you're watching it and it was a little bit cringy. And everyone's like, "Wow, you did so great. Way to just hold your own there." And then when they'd say things like, "Oh, you're a liar, selling snake oil," people would look at me like, "Really? Is it fake?"
That's such a tough deal. Like, honey, this isn't the time for a surprise party. Oh, no. Oh, God. That is amazing. So did you get sales out of it? Did people buy the watch after the thing? Or what? I mean, because that's please tell us.
We did well. We fell victim to this surge of website traffic that broke the website. And that is, listen, if there's anything more frustrating than a true nerd like myself having his own website break down, oh my gosh, I was so embarrassed from that aspect. But we had some faulty little plugins or elements on the web page that just couldn't handle the traffic.
Yeah, but to your defense, Ryan, there's no Shopify back then, right? We're in season 3. Not. So you got to make best with your local IT guy or IT company and say, make sure I have the bandwidth, make sure the servers are backed up, make sure all of that stuff happens. And you would not believe, I just got off the phone with, please don't forget his name, Corduroy's, the chair, the beanbag chair that turns into a bed. I just interviewed him yesterday, and he had the exact same thing happen. He had all different people. I'm not sure if he might have been in season 2. I thought he was in 3 though. Anyway, he said the exact same thing. He was like, I went to 2 different companies and I had them both working on it and it still crashed.
Yeah.
They were chasing emails and calling people back, and he had people in the neighborhood doing it. And he just, he still says, I wonder what it could have been.
Yeah.
Anyway, tell us what's going on today. What happened? First of all, what happened to the watches? Are they still working with the watches? And then what's the new? I know you have the.
Let me share a couple things because I think it's important for listeners to hear. I was met with the absolute worst of the United States of America after my episode, and I was met with the absolute classiest human beings. After that, people found my phone number. They found my wife's personal blog. They found my office information. And we were barraged for the next 10 days with hate, with emails, with people calling me whatever name they could come up with that was worse at the time, dropping my wife into it, commenting and trying to take her blog down with pictures of our family and our newborn daughter. And that was disgusting. It was disgusting that as an entrepreneur trying to fight to become something, that people would go out there and just feel like they could jump on the bandwagon of Mark Cuban. And I think that's what Mark Cuban doesn't understand. They have a little bit of a social responsibility to show an example and not just cast labels on people that they don't know who their true character is. And that was disgusting. But on the other sense, I had some of the warmest, heartfelt conversations you could imagine. I had calls from the founder of the UPS store telling me I would invest into you as a human being any day of the week. And guess who else called? Barbara, who wasn't on my episode, who said, I didn't believe it was her, but I come to find out she had got a copy of the unedited version and she was so impressed. She just wanted to call and say hello and see if I was going to be in New York at any time and make it to breakfast and get to know one another. That sense of warmth and outreach showed me that she truly cares. She was a good human. And that was what was so just eye-opening is you got to have a little bit of a tough shoulder to deal with that mob mentality. But on the other sense, it motivated me to rise to the occasion to be a good person myself because I know what it meant to me.
I don't even know how to, that's unbelievable. I don't know what else to say. It's also despicable for people. And we're seeing it all today, right? I don't want to turn this into a political thing, but what is going on today with, let's defund police. I don't get it. I mean, we can get things so they're better and we understand each other and communicate better. But for people to do what they did to you and your family is despicable and disgusting. And by the way, I will say, Tiffany Crumans was on here from Ava the Elephant, and she is one of Barbara's first, I think the first.
That's right.
She was on season 1, episode 1. And she says the same things about Barbara that you just said. Barbara didn't have to call you. She wasn't even in the room. And for her to do that is definitely what I've heard and witnessed of her, how she reveals her character. Because Tiffany said, we're not even business we're not even. It's not that we're just business partners. She's a close friend of mine. We've built a relationship over the years that where this isn't always about money and about stuff. It's more about family and communication and caring about each other. And it's reciprocal. So it's Barbara feeling that way as well. And it doesn't surprise me. I'm thinking who in that room would have called you first. And then of course it was someone that wasn't even in the room. And it
wasn't even there. And I'll tell you, in the darkest of moments, feeling quite alone, dealing with this, that meant the world to me. It warmed me up. It shined a light that I hope she hears this. I hope it gets back to her one way or another, but it truly meant a lot. And as entrepreneurs, I think we need to lean on each other. It's hard to be an entrepreneur. It's lonely. It's very, very stressful and it can affect health. And I think just that little sense of courtesy goes a long ways. But to answer your question, what's going on with Esso today? Funny enough, I was served with 4 lawsuits directly following Shark Tank, 3 of which were for products that people were claiming that they had medical issues because of my product. All 3 of those instances, thankfully, because of my low inventory, their product hadn't even shipped. So it was pretty easy to prove that false. All of them coming out of California, all of them claiming damages from health because of wearing my product, all of which had not received their order because we were on back order waiting for more inventory.
Did you have to fight those in court and cost money out of pocket, or were they dismissed?
You know what? I called those attorneys myself and said, listen, there is enough grounds here to take you to the bar and ban you for life. This is ridiculous. This is an abomination of the courts. And anyway, they all kind of folded and they realized, oh crap, we don't really have a case here. But the fourth one was a very big one. And that was from Exxon Oil and Gas, who happens to own the trademark of Esso.
I was thinking
from
that.
the original gas stations, right?
Yeah,
and you know, I had built my product based on the phrase Esso, which is an Italian phrase. You know, it's like, hey, that's what's up, Esso, that's cool. That was kind of the idea behind it. We fought it for a little bit. We tried. We put the cash that we had made into legal to defend ourselves, to prove that we were not violating their copyright or trademark by any means. Different industry altogether. But ultimately, we came to a settlement that we said, let's just walk away from it.
Got it. So what's new in your life? We know you have that entrepreneurial spirit and you're not going to sit down quietly and not doing something new. What do you got on the radar?
You know, I've been Shark Tank sucked, but boy, it gave me so much firepower to go out and create a purpose-based business. And I got really big into helping. I'm a big proponent of the family unit. I believe families are stronger and healthier when people are fully employed. I think second to cancer, major illness and disaster, unemployment and underemployment can just break the walls of a family unit. Just it's so stressful and strenuous. So I created a product that helps people find jobs faster and it aligns with purpose and passion. And it's morphed a couple names, but we're now at a really great spot. It's called Viva HR. And it's a recruiting automation platform for business owners to help them create better alignment and tell their story to attract better people. I hate the stories of people finding a job only to find out it's completely different than what they expected it to be. Let's clean up that. That's garbage. Let's help people find meaningful employment. And guess what? They'll give back 10x. They'll work harder. They'll be better employees. They'll be more loyal. And it just starts with telling the right story. So that's what I'm up to. And super passionate about it. Love helping people find the right job.
Before we tell everybody where they can find Viva HR, tell me a little bit about your thoughts on a couple things. One is, and again, my daughter is at UPenn right now, and my son is a junior. My other daughter is a sophomore. And Luca is in 6th grade. Got 4 kids. And so they're driven towards certain things, which I love. I learned a lot of lessons going through high school and college myself, and one of them was make sure you find something that you love and turn it into a career, right? And where you spend your time. I didn't do that. I ended up getting into sales. I stayed in sales. I never did anything else, and I ended up running sales organizations for 20 years in the telecom and the tech sector. Not complaining about it, but there's other things that I wish I did. And so they're doing that, and I'm excited for them and their future. But a couple of things have come out recently. One is some of the Fortune 500 companies saying, look, I'm not turning away someone who doesn't have college background, right? Because I'm missing creative people. That's one. The other thing I'm seeing, even with Shark Tank entrepreneurs, Ryan, is cutting 5-day work weeks to 4-day work weeks. And, I had Stefan from Tower Paddleboards on the show a couple weeks ago, and he did just that. And he said, Nick, my productivity's through the roof because people know we have 4 days to knock it's just like rallying the troops. And then 2 years later now, he's getting the same productivity. The people are killing it. And the retention of the people are even better because I got a 4-day week or, 3-day weekend every weekend. It's those types of things that I think are starting to morph a little bit, or at least get looked at more. Do you agree?
100%. There's so much to be said for culture alignment. It's not, company culture isn't just about core values and ordering pizza for the lunch once a week. Company culture is about alignment and creating a purpose-based environment. And your purpose, I've got a really great friend that's an electrical, owns an electrician business. He's he's just that guy. He's the guy that's just working on panels. He's not super business minded, but guess what? He rallies around giving people peace of mind that they're going to have air conditioning in Phoenix, Arizona in the middle of the summer. He rallies his troops around, people are afraid of electrocuting themselves because they can't get in the panels. We know something. We have a gift. We have a tool. And people get excited about doing those extra calls on the weekends and doing what they need to do. It doesn't need to be just a 4-hour work week. People are putting in more hours. But when you can find purpose and passion behind it, that culture alignment is gives people meaning. I can't tell you how many people, you go to any social gathering, first question somebody says, well, Nick, tell me what you do. I mean, it's such a cultural component with our society is who you are is what you do. And if you're sick of who you look like, then go change what you do and find some alignment that gives you some excitement. So that's kind of where we're at is it doesn't matter about how many hours you work in a week. It matters if you find alignment and purpose with what you're doing.
Well said. Where do we find, am I saying that right? Viva HR?
Viva HR. Yeah. VIVA HR. Just vivahr.com on all the social channels. My name is Ryan Naylor. Feel free to reach out, ping me. We love helping companies succeed, hire the right people. Just gives so much joy to just know you're giving back, helping create a little bit more of a family structure. When people have peace of mind, they're at the right job.
Ryan, I really appreciate you being here. I'm sorry, and it's just so disconcerting to hear what you went through and your family went through. I'm glad that's a chapter that's behind you and you've moved on completely from all of it. And obviously the whole purpose-based businesses and that stuff is just, it's so rewarding for the people that you work with, and I'm sure for yourself. So thanks for being here today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We'll be back with more What Would You Ask podcast in a second.